You are soon about to launch your new website. You have worked hard to get everything ready and you are hoping to get as many people as possible to visit your site when you go live. But how do you ensure that you can launch your site with the maximum exposure? One great way to do it is to use a coming soon page and connect it to your email autoresponder service. Connecting your coming soon page with an email list gives you two advantages. First, when you are ready to launch your website, you can reach wider audiences that can help spread the word even further. Another benefit is that you have already started building an email list, which is a valuable asset for future interaction with your visitors and potential customers. This video will show you how to create a coming soon page with an opt-in form with Elementor Pro. You will also learn to connect the opt-in form with a free MailChimp account. So without any further ado, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get to work. To get started with our tutorial, make sure that certain elements are in place. So first of all, in WordPress, when you go to the plugins area and then click add new and then enter Elementor into the search box, you can find the free version of Elementor. So make sure to install Elementor website builder and activate it, and that's the thing number one. The thing number two is that you need the premium version of Elementor. In other words, you need Elementor Pro. So head over to elementor.com and then click choose your plan and pick the preferred plan you would like to use. So you need these two versions of Elementor in our tutorial. Finally, you will need a free MailChimp account. So go to MailChimp.com and then click on this sign up for free button here at the top right and register your account. And now we are ready to get started with our tutorial. It all starts by going to the templates menu item here on the left and then clicking add new. And next you will have to choose the template type. So head over to this upper drop down menu and click on it and you can find your preferred template type, which is going to be page. And next enter the name of your coming soon page, which in my case is going to be coming soon test, and then I will just create the template by clicking on this button. And Elementor is doing its magic on the background and you will then see the coming soon page or how it is going to look. But we do not want to settle with this type of view, because when you are building a coming soon page, you want to ensure that there are as few distractions as possible, and that basically means that you want to eliminate all the links and everything else that could distract your visitor. So how do you go about that? Well, when you head over to this gear icon, which is at the bottom left, it's called settings. So click on this settings icon and check out the page layout section here. So as you can see, that default is selected by default, but you want to change that. You want to change that into Elementor Canvas. And when you do that, this whole design area changes. So everything is gone and you now have two options. You can either create a coming soon page from scratch. That's something that we are going to do in this tutorial. Or you can also take advantage of templates. Now when you click on this add templates icon, you will then notice that you have plenty of templates to choose from. And in fact, Elementor comes with a couple of coming soon templates. So when you enter coming soon into the search box, you will find these templates. But instead of using templates, as I already mentioned we are going to build a coming soon page from scratch. So I'm not going to take advantage of these templates in this tutorial. So let me just close that, and we are now ready to get started with the actual coming soon page design. Now you must be wondering what type of a page we are going to build. So let me show you. So this is what we are building. This page is not going to win any design awards. That's not the goal here. But rather I just want to show you how you can build a very simple coming soon page, and then you can adjust all these elements, colors, text, whatever, based on your needs. So here is the structure for the page. So first we have the title of the page, which is coming soon, and then we have a countdown timer here also at the top and some text. And all of this is followed by a lead magnet or a bonus material. So I'm actually enticing the visitor to stick around a little longer. So instead of just someone visiting my website and then heading off to another website, I want to catch that person's name and email address. And in order to entice the person to give their name and email address, I'm giving some bonus material. So in this case it's going to be an ebook, and it is available on Amazon, so you might want to take a look at it at some point. And then this part, this opt-in form, is then connected to your MailChimp account. And this is what we are building. So let's get started with our design and the header part first. So in our case we have this very simple coming soon text, and let's work with that one. So when I go back to the Elementor, you will see all these different elements on the left, and for this particular case I want to use the heading element. So let me just drag and drop this element into the design area, and as you can see that we have some default text in blue color. Now you can edit this text here in line, or you can also edit the text here on the left in a very simple text editor. So let's add our text there. So let me just change the text like this, so it says coming soon. The next thing I want to do is that I want to center this text. So as you can see that you have alignment options at the bottom, and all you have to do is just choose this center icon here and click it, and the text goes to the center of the page. The final part, and when you look at the design document, you will notice that this text color is in dark gray. So let's change that next. So in this case we have to go to the style tab. This is the place where you can change the colors and all the styling related settings. So when I click the style tab, and you will then notice that you have text color. Now here is our default blue color, but I want to change that, and fortunately I know the hexadecimal code for this dark gray color. So in this case I will just copy this hexadecimal value and head back over to the Elementor, and when I click this color like this, I can then actually change this color value. So let me just paste that new value here, and you can then notice that we have this new color here. One final thing is to change the heading level. So currently we have the H2 level heading, but I want to change that into H1. So let's go back to the content tab, and here you can find the HTML tag section. So just change this H2 into H1, and as you can see that this heading now stands out a little bit better. The next section in our coming soon page is the countdown timer. So let's look at the design document once again, and as you can see that it sits right under the coming soon text. So let's work on this countdown part. Let me hop back over to Elementor and click on this icon here to access the elements list, and the countdown element is here at the bottom. So scroll down a little bit and then just drag and drop this countdown element into the design area like this. So first of all, you will notice that it has this bluish background color. So let's change that first. So in my design document, I have defined a hexadecimal background color for my timer. So let me just copy this into my clipboard and go back to my Elementor. And here, when you access the style tab, click on that one, and when you click on this color in the background color section, you can then paste this hexadecimal code here. Alternatively, you can also change the color the way you wish by dragging this wheel, but in my case I'm going to use this green color, so let me just paste the value, and now you can see that this background color changes instantly. But let's actually activate the elements again. Let me go back to the content tab. So I just want to go through these settings because you may find them very useful. I'm not actually going to change any of these settings, but you may want to do these things at some point. So let's go through these settings. First of all, you have the type of the countdown timer, and by default you have the due date type of timer, and here you can define the due date. So this is going to be the destination time, and you can then define what will happen when you reach this point in time. But I can change this value. Let's say that I want the due date to be the 1st of May, and you can now see that when I change this value here, this due date value, so it will then reflect to your timer. So currently I only have 23 hours and 38 minutes and 9 seconds left. But you also have a Evergreen Timer, and that's a little bit different story. So let's choose that one. So I think that this is mainly used for marketing purposes. Not necessarily a big fan of this, but you may find it useful in your own use cases. So the idea of this timer is to show a same timing in this timer regardless when someone visits your website. So let's say that person 1 visits your website today, and then they see this value 1 day, 23 hours, 54 minutes and all that, and then 2 weeks later someone else comes to your website and they also see this very same timing in their browser. So that's used for marketing purposes, and you will most likely see this type of a timer when you go to a sales page or when someone is selling something to you. So I don't know, maybe there is a use case for this, but I personally do not like this type of a timer. But just letting you know that you can also use an Evergreen Timer if you want to. And then you can also tweak these settings with this type of a timer. But let's go back over to the due date timer because that's the one that we are going to use in this example. So when you choose the view, it will change this outlook of this timer a little bit, but let's keep it as a block so it looks much nicer that way. And then you can toggle on and off these sections here, meaning which parts of the timer you want to display. Maybe you do not want to display the days part, so let me just turn off the days section by toggling off this button here, and as you can see that the days part is now gone and we only have hours, minutes and seconds. But let me enable it again. Then you can also choose whether you want to show a label, and the label is the text that you see under this figure here. So you can either toggle them on or off. When I turn it off, it looks like this, but let me turn the label back on. So it looks maybe a little bit nicer that way. And finally, you can also create your custom labels if you want to. But in my case, I'm not going to create any custom labels. So let me just toggle this off. And finally, you can decide what will happen once you have reached the destination or once this timer expires. So what will happen? So when you click on the plus sign, you have three options. You have redirect, meaning that you can decide that maybe your page now redirects into another web page, and then you can define the URL here. If I choose hide, well, it's just basically going to hide this page. And finally, when I have the show message, then you can show your visitor a message saying something like "we are now live" or whatever it is. So that's all there is to it when it comes to configuring your countdown timer. The next part is to add some text into our coming soon page. So as you can see that we do not have that much of text here, just 2 lines. I wanted to keep things simple, so I will just copy this text and format it a little bit. So let's copy that one and jump back into Elementor and click on this icon to access the elements list once again. And here you can find the text editor element. Just drag it and drop it into the design area, and you can see that this text element contains some default text, but we will change that. So here on the left you have a text editor, and let's paste our version of this text into this box. So let's mark that and click paste, and all the text is now on one line. But as you can see in our design document, it's on two lines, and when you look at it more closely, you will notice that it has some text that I didn't have here, but I decided to leave this but don't leave empty-handed part away on this final version of the page, so I'm not going to include that. But in our case, it's just a matter of adding a line break and then adding some bolding here. So let's do that. So let's add a line break, and well, of course, when you look at it, you will notice that this text is also centered, so we also have to take care of that one as well. So let's do that next. So when you mark the text and click on this align center icon, so it puts your text into the center of the design area. Now, one thing to note is that if for some reason you do not see this text editor like this, it looks like this. When you click on this toolbar toggle icon, so you can turn on and off some extra functionality. So in my case, the toolbar was already toggled on, so I was able to see all these extra icons, and just wanted to let you know that in some cases you might only see this type of view in your text editor, but just clicking on this toolbar toggle icon will help you to expose some new icons that you can then use to format your text. Anyways, let's add some bolding, and this second line needs our attention. So let me just mark that text and click on this bold icon. So now we have the text bolded, and I guess it now looks the way we want it to look. Yeah, we have two lines of text, both on a separate row, and this second line is bolded. Good. Next part is to work with the image. So let's do that. So let's hop back to the Elementor, and let me click on this icon to see the elements list. And in this case we are using the image element, so drag and drop it like this, and you will notice then that you have this huge placeholder area in your design view. Unfortunately, this is not the actual size of the image, it's going to be much smaller. So here on the left, under the image section title, you have this choose image part, and when you hover your mouse over this area, you can then see the choose image text. So when you click that, you can then access your media library and you can upload an image. You can also upload files from your computer, but I have already added this image into the media library, so I will just pick the one that I would like to use. So let's click on this image and then click insert media. So this the purpose of this image is to give something to the visitor when they are visiting this coming soon page. So what I'm actually doing here, and we are building this page further, but the idea is that when someone visits this page, I'm giving them something, and in exchange of getting this ebook, and by the way, this is actually, or this Kindle book is actually available on Amazon. So if they want to have this ebook, they have to give their email address and their name. So I want to build my email list while I'm building my website on the background. So I'm doing two things at once. So that's why we like to use some image here. It makes this offer more lucrative rather than just having an opt-in form. So it helps with the conversion. But right, we now have the image, the lead magnet, the bonus material image here on the page, and that's all there is to it. The final part of this page design is to build an opt-in form. And when we look at the design document, you will notice that we have a very simple opt-in form. It has two fields, your name, your email, and this red star marks this particular field, or both of these fields, as mandatory. And finally we have a submit button. So let's design an opt-in form next. Let me head back over to Elementor, and instead of just dragging this form into the design area like this, and as you can see that it's a very wide element, but it doesn't look good. So let me just delete this element. Let me click on this X icon so that I'm able to delete this whole section. Let me do that. instead of just dragging and dropping this element here into the design area, let me click on this plus icon, which helps me to add sections into this page. And you can see all these different sections that you can add, and in our case I want to use, let's see, I think this one is pretty good. Let me click on that one, and you now have a section which has three areas, I guess. So you can add individual elements into these sections if you want to, but the only element that we want to have is the opt-in form. It's going to be located here at the center of the page. So let's go back to the elements list, and here I have the form element, and let me just drag and drop that into the middle section like this, and it looks a little bit better. But you will then notice that this opt-in form has 3 fields or 3 form fields, and I only want to have 2 form fields. So first thing to do is to get rid of this message form field. And here on the left you will notice that you have all these form fields sitting on top of each other. And if you want to get rid of one of the fields, just click on this X icon, and when I do that, this message form field is now gone. The next thing is to change the labels a little bit. So when I click on the name section here, I can then access some additional properties, and here you have the label, and let's change that into your name. Also, I will toggle on the required setting here. So when I click that, it turns into blue and it says yes. So now this particular form field is required. Let me click on this your name section so it will close the properties fields, and let's work on the email form field next. So click on the email or this section here, and then you are able to access some extra properties, and the label is going to be your email. And it seems to be required, or the required selection is already on, so we do not have to change that. But once again, it's one of those properties where you can just toggle them on and off like this, but make sure that it says yes. Right. The final part here regarding the form fields is to turn on the required mark. So as you can see here, you have the required mark section, and by default it's hidden, but just toggle that on like this, and now you have these red stars. And maybe to keep things organized, give your form a meaningful name. Let's name it like coming soon opt-in form, like this. Good. Then let's change the button text. It just says send, but I do not like that, and instead of having it just send as my button or submit button text, I want to join the waiting list. So in Elementor, find the buttons section and click on that one, and here under the submit button subheading you can find the submit section. So it says send, but let me change that into our one, the one that we would like to use. So I want to join the waiting list, like this. And now when you look at the design document and compare it to our current page, so everything looks quite good. So now the design part is ready, and the next step is to hook this opt-in form into our MailChimp account. So let me do that next. Okay, so the key thing between your opt-in form and your MailChimp account is something called an API key. And in order to generate an API key, you need to have your MailChimp account. So I hope that you have already registered an account. So let's assume that you have that account, and let me go over to my MailChimp account and I will show you how you can generate this key. So this is the view when you log in into your account, and when you click on your profile information here at the bottom left, and you will then see this menu, so choose account and billing, and then click on the extras menu item here at the top, and then choose API keys. Now it says you do not have any active API keys, so it's just a matter of clicking this create a key button, and then MailChimp generates an API key for you. No worries, it looks very confusing. Just make sure to click inside of this form field so that it activates, and then copy this string into your clipboard like this, and you are now good to go. You now have an API key, but you also need to make sure that this API key is in your Elementor's settings. So let me hop back over to my Elementor, and here let me scroll up this page a little bit. So when you go to Elementor and settings, and under the integrations tab, you will then find a section for MailChimp. So this is the form field where you want to copy that API key that you generated in MailChimp. So paste it in here, and you can even click on the validate API key if you want to, and this recycling icon turns into a green check mark when you have a valid API key. But anyways, this is the place where you paste that generated API key, and you can also notice that different email autoresponder services have their corresponding API key fields here. So whether you are using something else like Trip or Active Campaign or whatever, so you can also find their API keys here. And once you have pasted that API key for MailChimp into this field, so make sure to click on Save Changes button so that your setting is actually saved. And the next thing what we are going to do is that we are going to do some changes in our Elementor design area so that we can finally connect the opt-in form with our MailChimp account. So in the design view, make sure to activate your opt-in form, and here on the left, the most important section to look at is the actions after submit. So click on this, and first of all, make sure to clear these default values. So click on the X icon in front of the value. So get rid of the collect submissions and the email values, and instead choose MailChimp as your new value. And you will then notice that a new section called MailChimp appears. So click on this section heading, and here you see an API key which is using the default value. So this default value is the same one that you just configured in your Elementor's settings. So when you go to Elementor and settings and under integrations, you have the MailChimp section, and this value, what you have here, is the same as what you have here in this field as default value, so it's the very same thing. The next thing to define is an audience, and that's something that you will create in MailChimp. Now, when you look at the Elementor's settings, you will see audience here, and when you click on this drop down, you will then see that my current audience name is Timo Kiander. But you do not have to settle with this audience name. So when you go to MailChimp, under Audience and Preferences Center, and then click on the settings and choose audience name and defaults. And here you can define your audience name. So this audience name, what you see here, is the same one than what you see in this audience drop-down menu. But anyways, here at the MailChimp, you can change this audience name, and once you are done with your changes, make sure to save them so that they are in effect. But anyways, let me go back to Elementor and let me change the audience name like this. And as soon as you do that, Elementor reveals some extra properties here on the left. So the one that we would like to take a look at first is the double opt-in setting. So I personally like to use the double opt-in functionality. So let me just turn it on. So what it does is that it just adds an extra level of safety to this whole email joining process. So instead of just someone entering their name into this opt-in form and clicking the submit button and joining your email list automatically, this double opt-in setting adds an extra step into this process. So what happens is that this potential email list subscriber actually gets a confirmation email from MailChimp asking that, are you sure you want to join this email list? And when the person clicks on the confirmation link, only then they are joined to your email list. So it adds an extra level of safety into this process, and maybe people are more real when they have to do some or take some extra step in order to join your email list. There are two schools of thought. Some do not like this double opt-in thing at all, and some people do, and I'm one of those folks who like to have a double opt-in, so that's why I have chosen, or I have enabled this value in our demonstration. The next thing and the final thing in our configuration is to do some field mapping. So make sure that these fields map with each other. So first you have the email field, and when you click on this drop down list, you will find that your email is actually the only value here. So this your email is the same as this field, your email field on this opt-in form. And also your name, which now that I look at it, it's maybe a little bit funnily named, because this definitely should be first name instead of your name, but make sure that this your name field is also mapped with the right field, and in our case the first name field has the value your name, so make sure that this mapping goes like this. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. And the next thing is to enable this coming soon page and test the opt-in form so that it works with your MailChimp. So let's do that. So in my Elementor settings, in Elementor and tools, you can find a maintenance mode tab. So click on that one, and here you can make changes regarding to your maintenance mode. So in a typical situation, the mode is disabled, but then you can choose different modes, and you have the coming soon and maintenance as your values. So make sure to choose the coming soon as your value. Then you can decide who can access your website without seeing the coming soon page. So you can have a logged in as your value, or you can choose custom and say that only administrators can access your website without seeing the coming soon. So in this case, maybe I will just choose this particular value, administrator. And finally, you can choose your coming soon page template. So click on this menu and you will find your just published coming soon page here. So make sure to choose this as your value and then click on save changes. And as you can now see that it says maintenance mode on, so you have just turned on your coming soon page. But in order to test your page, let me just close this browser window and let me also log out of my website. So let's click log out here. And then when I enter my website, so let's take a look at it and what we will see. So when I enter my website, I now have this coming soon page in effect. So this is the way it works. And the next step is to actually see how well this opt-in form works with its double opt-in functionality. So let me just enter my information here and let's see how this whole process works. And I will then stop the recording for a couple of seconds because it might take some time until you get the confirmation email from your MailChimp, but let me just add my personal information first and then I will hop back into the recording mode soon. So let me just enter my first name and my email address, and then I will click on the I want to join the waiting list, and the form was sent successfully. And let me stop the recording for a couple of seconds. Okay, so I'm back with some very exciting news from MailChimp, and this is the double opt-in form in process. So I just got a confirmation email from MailChimp. Now there is something that I would like to clarify, because it says here Timo Kiander, please confirm your subscription. And if you remember, I only used my first name here in your name field. So you may be thinking, why does it say Timo Kiander? Well, the Timo Kiander is the name of the audience. So in my MailChimp, I only have one audience and it's named Timo Kiander. So as I showed you earlier in this video, you can change the audience name. So just wanted to clarify this part because it may look a little bit confusing in this situation. But anyways, when we click on this email, and naturally Gmail is very cautious about these types of emails. It may even think that this is spam, but we know that we are testing this functionality and this is definitely not spam. So let me click on looks safe. And here you can now see that it says please confirm subscription and yes, subscribe me to this list. So let me just click on this button here. And then you have some CAPTCHA information that you have to use here. So click on this I'm not a robot and then click subscribe. And it says subscription confirmed. So you are now on the email list. Now, when we look at the MailChimp's end, and let me just refresh this page. Now you can see that the number of total audience has grown with one subscriber. So I have now confirmed my email with this very mailing list, and now I'm officially here on the list. So that's really great. And this is basically how this whole process works. So when you are using a double opt-in, you will have to do some extra clicks in your inbox in order to join the email list. But I think that it's a much better way to do things than just have a single opt-in form. Anyways, this is the whole process and how this thing works with MailChimp, and there is one final, or actually two final things that I would like to take a look at. And first of all, now that we have tested our coming soon page, let's go back to Elementor and Tools, and under Maintenance Mode tab, let me just disable our coming soon page. So let me turn on the disabled value here and click on Save Changes, and then you will notice that this maintenance mode text is now gone. One final thing I want to show you: if you ever want to make changes to your coming soon template or templates, maybe you have several ones, but in my case I only have one coming soon template. So here on the left, when you choose templates and click on saved templates, you have your published coming soon page. And here when you hover over this coming soon area or this text, you will notice that you can either get rid of this coming soon page, or you can click edit with Elementor, and then you can make some tweaks into your coming soon page. So that's pretty much it. I have now showed you how you can design a coming soon page, how you can create an opt-in form in that page, how you can hook it up with your MailChimp account, and we also tested this whole process so that it works. So this is how you do it, and I really hope that if you have any questions regarding to this process, make sure to leave a comment, and also make sure to like this video and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anyways, that's all there is to it, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.